Really appreciate you.
Carrie, can you email me that that document from the health department, the one pager, when you get a chance?
I have the statement. Is that where you're?
No,
Yeah,
the thing that they said where they explained everything. Did they send that yesterday? Specific to quarantine, not contact
You're
tracing.
up to 70, 78.
Oh, yeah, I'll send that.
Yeah, could you forward it? Eric Edoff from
Yeah.
Alliance Cruise wanted to look at it.
Okay. So we've got 95 people. Can anybody see a waiting room? I don't see a waiting room. So it looks like everybody's just able to join us on their own, which is fabulous. We don't have to do a waiting room. If you're just coming in to join us, we're just going to wait a couple of minutes to allow for everybody to get into the information night meeting, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we're up to 110 folks. Okay, 113. I'm just going to give it one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to get started now. And just my name is Carrie Birmingham and I'm the Director of Communications for the Troy School District. I am here to welcome you to our TSD Preschool Information Night, where you are going to get some fabulous information on all of the great programs that are available through our Troy School District Preschool, as well as hear from some of our phenomenal educators, some of our parents, get a virtual tour of our building, and lots of other information that you'll be able to get here tonight. My role really here is to not only welcome you, but I am also going to keep track of any questions that you put in the chat. And at the end of our presentation here, we will go through and answer any general questions that we can, in the time allowed. This is not necessarily the opportunity to ask questions about your specific student. We can address those. You can send them to Mrs. Kaiser or to myself via email, and I will forward them to our preschool team. But if you have general questions about the programs, about the offering, about the building, we are happy to answer those at the end of our presentation. I also want to acknowledge we will introduce the rest of the folks on the screen in just a few minutes, but I want to acknowledge the bottom of my screen. I'm not sure we're here too, on yours, but Dr. Macheski, our superintendent of schools, is here to support us in our information night tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy, I'm sure, very busy schedules to join us. I think you're going to find this time very well used. And again, we're all here and available should you have any questions or concerns following the presentation.
Thanks, Rich. And this is going to be a night. If you are a brand new parent to our preschool and have not seen it before, you're going to see some phenomenal things tonight and hear some great feedback, especially from our parents, our other parents. And I don't want to give too much away, but our seasoned parents, our seasoned Troy School District parents are going to share some of their experiences with you. And I think you'll find that valuable. Right now, I'm just going to turn it over to our Director of Early Childhood, Erin Kaiser, who is going to kind of oversee the information tonight and walk you through and introduce you to some of the other folks that are here with us. Erin?
Thanks, Carrie. Thank you, families, for joining us tonight. I know that we regret that we're not able to welcome you in person, but this is as best we can get in providing you kind of a sneak peek and a snapshot of what a preschool experience would be like in Troy School District. And we're hopeful that, in the coming months, we'll be able to welcome you in for in-person tours and things like that as well. So I really appreciate Dr. Macheski, you taking the time to be here, and I'm happy to introduce the rest of our panel as we get into the show. If you want to get it rocking, Carrie.
Okay, everybody can see that now?
Perfect. Thanks, Carrie. Okay, so just as quick, kind of a quick overview of what we're going to go through tonight. You'll meet some members of our team. We're going to provide you, like Carrie said, with a virtual tour of our world-class facility. We'll talk a little bit about what makes preschool in Troy unique and talk about the specific programs that we offer. There are a lot of different options for you to find the best fit for your child. We'll dig into our curriculum and let our teaching and learning department, along with a classroom teacher, kind of explain to you what you can expect for your child's preschool experience, some of the services that we provide here in Troy School District, and also an opportunity for you to ask any of your specific questions, and then information on how to enroll. So tonight we are joined by Carrie Birmingham. She's our Director of Communications and Strategic Initiatives. She's our MC for tonight. So thank you, Carrie. Chris Griefor is our Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. She is a champion of early childhood in our district and is really a great link for us to the K-12 system as well. Like Carrie said, I'm the Early Childhood Director. Natalie Hazebrook is our Director of Teaching and Learning. She oversees curriculum and instruction and all things teaching and learning for really birth to post high school. So she really knows the flow of the district and supports us with making sure that our teachers and the learning environment is really supportive for all students in Troy and making that seamless transition. Pat Grandy is one of our expert teachers at the preschool. She represents a fantastic team of preschool teachers, but many of you that have ever experienced preschool in Troy probably know her well. She is very well loved in the Troy community. So thanks, Pat, for joining us. And Sarah Young is our Supervisor of Special Education Programs for birth through 5th grade. She's going to give us a little bit of information and answer any questions that you have regarding special education or special services, things like that. We're so excited to welcome you back to school. Today we have a new student who's going to check out our preschool and show you around. The common area is designed to allow space for classes to spread out and extend their learning from the classroom. This provides an opportunity for large group activities, guest readers, obstacle courses, parachutes. The opportunities are endless. Children have individually assigned storage for their materials directly outside of their classroom. This helps to build children's responsibility and have a structured routine in their day. The preschool classroom is designed entirely with 3 to 5-year-olds in mind. From the flexible furniture to hands-on, authentic learning materials, children are driven by their interests and can build on their inherent strengths. The play-based learning and authentic literacy are part of their daily interactions. The preschool gym allows for indoor gross motor play to enhance confidence and get our wiggles out. Children have both gym and playground playtime built into their daily schedules. The clinic is available for any student who is injured or ill. Children are supervised and cared for while their privacy is respected. Our preschool playground boasts over 30,000 square feet of natural, inclusive play opportunities. Here, children have the opportunity to use creativity and imagination as they play with friends.
I'm so excited for preschool.
I'm going to kick it over to Chris Griefor from our cabinet to talk a little bit just about some background from the district and our kind of strategic planning and things that are prioritized here in Troy.
Thanks so much, Erin. That video of Anna never gets old. Thank you to Erin and for our team for being here with us tonight, and to all of you as families for your consideration of our programming. I think just authentically, this program is so important to our district and so important to the work that we do day in, day out to support our community. So just thank you to Erin and your team for all you do each and every day to support our students and families. We're excited. Over the last 7 years, we've been really studying what it means to be a world-class school system and district as a whole. And one of the things that continue to come to the forefront with that is this importance of an early childhood experience and access for our children, in terms of not only access, but that deep learning that is so important for students at the earliest ages. So we just had the opportunity last year to refresh our strategic plan. And we call these our 4 pillars of what we focus on as a district in terms of what world-class systems do. And again, early childhood is of the utmost importance. I think that's what is one way that Troy is unique, that it's incredibly important to our system as a whole to give our kids the very best start. And so just in terms of refreshing, we always say world-class for all. It's our programming, including most people on this call. We were looking at what specifically is world-class for an early childhood system. And we were able to study, and before the center itself was actually built, we were able to go to all sorts of different programming places and study places around the world, actually, to see what the best systems do. And that really centered around our people. We're so proud of our facility, but more importantly, we're proud of the people in it and what they do to service kids each and every day. So we're proud to say that this is a pillar of our what it means to be world-class in the Troy School District. But we're also proud that this is a connection to our kindergarten classrooms and our system as a whole. So Erin is actually a director of early childhood, but she also is a member of our elementary principal team. So she's able to be a conduit to kind of that transition and pieces like that. In addition to supporting and focusing on early childhood, we also believe very strongly in the Troy School District about equity and well-being for all, and understanding the needs of all of our children and creating that sense of belonging. The idea of deep learning, so just not tasks and things like that for students, but really creating an authentic environment where we focus very heavily on the importance of the literacy experiences and being able to self-direct and encourage students to be lifelong learners. In addition, we believe strongly in building the capacity not only of children, but also for the adults in our system. So we wanted to share this with you tonight because we really find it important to share, this may be your first experience in our system, but also that this is a very important connection to our next steps with the district as a whole. Thanks, Carrie. One of the ways we thought that it was important to mention our values as well. Sometimes it's important to help parents understand how we make decisions, and we really want to focus on this idea of centering community. But our values in our system are important to always bring to the forefront. So we focus as a system on deep learning. We focus on doing a few things really well, and we focus on this idea of collaboration. And these pieces come up specifically when our students are transitioning from a preschool environment into a kindergarten one. So our teachers are able to have the time together to talk with kindergarten teachers. They're able to build their capacity and do some learning together. And they're able to make meaningful decisions to ensure that success as they move from one level to another.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I can't say enough about how much preschool and early childhood has been embraced by Troy School District. It's really woven into every aspect of the system. And so I know that that's a great benefit. We always say, as long as you choose preschool, then that's the right choice for you. But, for our families that are going to be in Troy School District for the long haul, it's a great benefit to just kind of be woven into the system so early and have access to so many Troy School District supports and resources early on. This is probably the slide where I'll do the most talking, just in an effort to kind of be really clear about programs. We have a lot to offer in Troy, and we are sure that we can find the right fit for every family. But this is a great opportunity for us to just make sure that you know what your options are. So early on is a program for students that qualify for an IFSP that they may have a developmental delay for children ages birth to 3. So that is children are serviced in the home, but our early on providers that are employed by Troy School District are here at the preschool. And so they really work with our staff on transitioning some of those students and just making sure that those students, even from the earliest stages, have access to all of the great benefits of Troy School District. First Friends is a parent and tot class that we have for children ages 18 months to 36 months. It's an hour-and-a-half play date a week. So it's kind of like that first introduction to preschool and play. It is taught by a preschool teacher and a speech and language pathologist, and one child and one parent come. So it's a great opportunity for socialization for the children, but also kind of a networking opportunity for parents. So we're really grateful to be able to have brought that back to the building this year. Tuition preschool, this is really the main focus for tonight. This is kind of what we're going to be talking quite a bit about in terms of enrollment, and that's what enrollment opens next week. So I'll give you a little bit of background on that, and we'll talk about some of those frequently asked questions, but that's really kind of the focus of some of this information tonight. So all of our preschool programs that follow the Troy School District K-12 calendar, so the school year calendar, and they're all housed here at the preschool building on Square Lake Road. We offer 5 half days and 5 full days for our preschool programming. It's either a 7-hour preschool day or a 3-hour preschool day. Next year, we do believe that our preschool programming is going to be running for tuition is going to be running from the 8 to 3 window. So 8 in the morning till 3 p.m. in order to kind of accommodate those elementary school schedules as well, because we have many siblings in our school. We do have before and after school childcare open as early as 7 in the morning, and it closes at 6 p.m. So if you enroll for tuition preschool, you won't have the option yet to enroll for after school childcare. That opens maybe closer to summer, but we will notify any enrolled families when it's time to register for that, and we promise that there'll be space for you. In terms of just information on tuition preschool and things that we can tell you about the tuition preschool program, the adult to student ratio is 1 to 10. So 10 children for every 1 adult and up to 20 in the classroom. You're not required to be a Troy School District resident for this program, but we do prioritize Troy School District residents as well as Troy School District staff members for availability. It's important to note too, our program for this current school year is full. If you're interested, you can certainly contact our office and be put on the wait list for this year. And our morning classes, those 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning classes, those are the first to fill up. So those are the ones that we see with a wait list first. So just if that's something that you're considering, know that those are primarily the ones that fill up first. In terms of tuition rates, we're pretty competitive with our neighboring districts. For full day, it's about $9,000 annually. We break it down into 10 monthly payments. So you're paying $900 a month for full day tuition programs. Half day would be about $500 per month for a half day program. I think that's just about everything that I have written in there. We're going to talk specifically about curriculum and instruction and all of those things when we get a little bit further on. The next column is GSRP. Oh, go back, Carrie. Sorry, that was just the middle one. GSRP is our grant-funded free preschool for 4-year-olds. So this is if you are age 4 by December 1st of the current school year, and you can provide evidence of low to moderate income, then you would qualify for this program. It's 4 full days a week, and the ratio is 1 to 8. So one adult for every 8 children in the classroom, up to 16 children in the classroom. Follows the exact same curriculum and programming of our preschool. The funding just comes from another source. If you're interested in enrolling for GSRP for the fall, we have the intake form available on our website now. So go to the preschool website and you'll look for the Great Start Readiness preschool icon. Click on it. It's just a 1-page intake form. If you fill it out now, you'll receive a confirmation that you've completed it, but just know that we won't conduct the formal enrollment until summer. The next column is ECP. That's early childhood programs. That's our early childhood special education program. This is for students that with an IEP that qualify for a specialized program with a special education certified teacher. The adult to student ratio in that classroom is 1 adult to every 4 children, with up to 12 children in the classroom. and it is 4 half days a week. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on, and Sarah Young, our resident expert, will give some more information on that for us. The last column is free pre-K. So this is for children, a free program funded by the state of Michigan for children who are 5 by December 1st of the current school year. Now, you may have heard this referenced as young fives or developmental kindergarten in other districts, and it's targeted in some other districts as that September 2nd to December 1st age window. While that may be some of the population, we really prioritize this for any parent who either elects for another high quality preschool year for their child, or a child who has not had a preschool experience and parents would elect for that. So this is really focused on providing children access to an opportunity for a high quality preschool year if parents elect to do so. It is enrolled the same as kindergarten enrollment though. So you would not enroll during, this is not something that you would enroll in LEO next week. This is something that if you are a Troy School District resident, you would be contacted by your home elementary school and they would say you're age eligible for kindergarten. You would go through the enrollment process with central office and then elect for pre-K. It's housed in our preschool building, and transportation is not provided, but it's 5 full days for the entire school year and runs very similar to all of our other preschool programs. Same adult child ratio and same access to all the great supports. It's just another free option. Now I'm ready, Carrie. And we'll talk about some of our specific points of pride, and we're happy to kind of highlight some of these things as time goes on too throughout it. But, you know, I just wanted to make sure that we note some of these things that we, that kind of set Troy apart. And so if you're wondering about, you know, why would I choose Troy School District? Obviously, our emphasis on authentic literacy. We're really proud of our partnerships that we have with Teachers College at Columbia University Reading and Writing Project, along with Oakland University, and just access to really those high quality experts that provide some professional learning for our teams. We kind of weave that in with our play-based curriculum so that it's really authentic and really meaningful for students. And Pat Grandy will give us a little bit more information on that. Looks like our slide's having some trouble, so I'm just going to read from my notes that I have here. Our world-class facility, we're absolutely very proud of it and proud of what Troy School District has invested in. You know, it's absolutely true that, you know, your priorities is where you put your money, right? And Troy School District has made that very clear by investing in early childhood with this facility that we have for our youngest learners. But like Chris Griefor said, the facility is nothing without meaningful work happening in the classroom. So that's really kind of partnered with our teaching teams and those the expertise of our teaching teams and the relationships that they have with their students. So, you know, it would be nothing without the work that was happening in the classroom. And by far, the greatest point of pride that we have is our expert teaching teams and the opportunity that your child would have inside that classroom. We were really intentional with the design of making sure that they have both indoor and outdoor gross motor spaces. That has never been more important than this year when we needed a lot of opportunity for mask breaks and social distancing and spacing, but just in general, it has been really appropriate for our kiddos to have lots of different spaces and opportunities to extend their learning and make the entire school environment theirs. And then just our continued commitment to health and safety. So we follow the Oakland County Health Department guidance for all of our safety protocols, and it mirrors Troy School District. We're, you know, we're very proud to have been open and maintaining face-to-face instruction this entire school year and all of last year. And it's not without tremendous effort and diligence from our teams and support of the district, but every student that's been with us this year, we have over 450 children getting a high quality preschool experience face-to-face, and we're really proud of that. I'm going to kick it over to Natalie Hazebrook, our Director of Teaching and Learning, to talk a little bit about curriculum and instruction, specifically from the district perspective, before Pat Grandy gets into the preschool level.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Erin. So you'll notice in the graphic here that language and literacy are at the heart, and they're at the heart of all that we do in the Troy School District, and particularly in our early childhood programming. We know that if we can help students develop strong language skills and strong literacy skills, it just sets them up for a lifetime of success, not only in their education, but beyond. And so as Erin mentioned, our expert teachers are so skilled at starting to develop early literacy skills in children. So they will work on early reading skills. They will work on shared reading. They'll do things like dramatic play where students get to develop their language skills. They'll also work on listening and speaking, so teaching children skills for interacting with one another, and the language of problem solving, the language of kind of negotiating different issues that arise. They'll also start to develop our young students as writers, and they will start to help our young students believe that they are an author and that they have something important to say. So we take a lot of pride in our literacy programming, not just in early childhood, but throughout our district. It's one of the areas that we've invested a lot of learning for our staff and also in the best materials. So this is one area that you can rest assured your child will have a wonderful experience. Carrie, if you don't mind hopping to the next slide. One of the things that we have been developing over the last few years, not just in preschool, but also throughout our system in ELA, is a workshop model. And in the workshop model, our students get the opportunity to choose what they are working on. And what we know about learners of all ages is when they have choice over what they do, they are able to develop skills like independence, where they really become the director of their own work. So even at this very young age, your students will start to work to a deadline with different projects they're working on, and just they will start to develop many wonderful skills. Also, too, you can rest assured that our teachers pay such special care to follow what each child needs. So there isn't a scripted curriculum that is followed day by day. Our teachers really follow the children. And I can tell you, I'm actually a parent of 2 pre-K students. My twins go to the preschool, and I was a nervous parent at the beginning. I sent them off knowing that they only knew a couple letters. They really weren't writing their name yet, and I couldn't get them to hold a crayon. And now they are just so confident and are just feeling so wonderful about themselves. So I think that's one of the things that we kind of keep saying over and over, but our staff just has the capability to take such good care of our students. Next slide, Erin. Another thing that we've really been working intentionally at the past probably 6 or 7 years is alignment between what happens in our preschool and what happens in our kindergarten programming. We want to make sure that if a child is in Troy preschool, they go to Troy kindergarten, having some specific tools in their backpack, having skills that will set them up for success throughout the rest of their school career here with us. So that's something, I apologize, I'm not sure why that gray square hopped in there, but that is something that we are always working toward, is that vertical alignment between levels. And we do things like have our teachers collaborate regularly with each other. Not as regularly as we would like during COVID, but that's certainly something that we continue to work towards. And then lastly, from my part, we have made a tremendous investment in professional learning of our staff. As we've mentioned, the building is important, but we know the biggest difference maker for students is the quality of the teacher. And so we invest regularly both with time for professional learning and with resources. Our preschool staff has the opportunity to work regularly with our district literacy coaches and have that influence, and has opportunity to collaborate and influence one another's teaching practice. This is something that, again, we take great pride in the Troy School District pre-K through 12, because we know how important having a quality teacher in front of your students is. And I will pass it over to, as we call her, Miss Pat.
Well, thank you. Hello, parents. I'm going to talk to you tonight briefly about the curriculum that we use here in our preschool classrooms. We use HighScope Curriculum. This curriculum is a research-based curriculum that has an approach, as it's been mentioned before, that it's very play-based with a lot of active learning in our classrooms. The HighScope curriculum has an emphasis on building strong adult-child relationships. It has an emphasis on having consistent daily routines in our classrooms. We have a process for the children every day, which is called Plan, Do, Review. This is where the children sit down with their teacher, and they tell them what they're going to work on during work time. So they're going to make a plan. They're going to implement that plan. And then we come back as a group and we review what we did during our work time. So that's consistent every day for our students. One of the other emphasis is on building on each child's strength and interest in the classroom. It was mentioned before that, we want to know what the children are interested in and how we can support them in their different interests and their different strengths. And the other thing that HighScope Curriculum focuses on is child and adult activities. For example, that might look like you would think that the teacher is the one always doing the activities. We're going to do this today. But actually, we partner with the children. For example, like at large group time, we might say, what song would you like to sing out of the songbook today? So we wanted to share some of that responsibility with the children, and it really helps the children, again, strengthen their interests and themselves. HighScope provides us with a wonderful 6-step conflict resolution for our students if a conflict should arise in the classroom. And if you can imagine like a toolbox for the children, this concept of resolution gives the children tools to work through a situation that might happen in the classroom. The adult teacher is there to help guide and manage the students through this process. The beauty of this process is that it really allows a child that's going on to kindergarten to have these abilities to resolve future conflicts. It gives them the opportunity to really do it if they need to, they can do it themselves. So it's really amazing. And lastly, HighScope provides us with an assessment tool that we use here in our classrooms, each teacher, and it is called the CORE, known as Child Observation Record Assessment. And so what we do daily in the classroom is we are taking notes on each of our students. We may see them building a tower. We might see them engaged in conversation with students, but we take notes on all these different areas. And then we put this data into this core assessment. And the beauty of this is twice a year, you will get a report once in January and once in April, and you will see a roadmap of kind of like all the things that have been happening for your child, all these notes that kind of tell you what they've been experiencing. So it's a brilliant tool, not only for the staff, but also for the parents to kind of have an idea of what is happening in our classroom. So we talked about the HighScope curriculum, and HighScope curriculum has 8 content areas: approaches to learning, mathematics, health and physical development, science and technology, social and emotional development, creative arts, language, literacy and communication, and social studies. So when we look as teachers, when we look at these 8 content areas, this is what drives our lesson plans. So we want to make sure when we are lesson planning for our students, we are incorporating these 8 areas so that the children have opportunities for learning in all 8 of these content areas. Next. So each one of our classrooms here at the preschool is what we call a balanced classroom. We refer to it as a balanced classroom. And there's 4 components to a balanced classroom. First of all, we look at each child that is in our classroom as a unique individual. No 2 children are the same, not even a set of twins that we have in the classroom. They're both different. So we really recognize each child as being unique. The second component in a balanced classroom is an abundance of open-ended materials that will challenge the child at whatever level of development they are at. And I'm going to revert back to that age that we have. We have 3-year-olds up to 5-year-olds. So we need like I said, a multitude of different materials that will challenge and each age level that we have that we're teaching to. And the balanced classroom also has appropriate expectations for each of our students. We want to challenge our students, and we also want to support them when it is needed in the classroom. So that's our job, is to have expectations. Where do we want to scaffold this child's learning to? So and then the last one is probably my favorite component of the balanced classroom. It's when you spend, as it was mentioned before, I'm with my students 7 hours a day. The students are with each other 7 hours a day. And it is really amazing to watch the relationships that build with our students, and not only with our students peer to peer, but also with the staff and my teaching partner, Ms. Denizio. And when you see in the morning, the students arrive, and they are genuinely so excited to see their friends. It's amazing. It's like a sense of family. And then when the day is finished and we're leaving our classroom, how they say their goodbyes to each other. And it's just really heartwarming. We do have a sense of family in each of our classrooms. And it's really very important for the children's social emotional development as we work together as a family in our classroom, supporting each other in their learning, and trying to do what is best for each of those individual students. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. This slide talks a little bit about our early childhood special education programs and services that we have in the district. As Erin mentioned earlier, we have a pretty wide continuum of preschool programming for students. And then this speaks to specifically our students who are eligible for special education services. And so what you can see up at the top is that we have early on and a preschool special education team. What's been really great since we had the new building, the new facility, is that all of our special education team and programs and services at the preschool level, actually birth to age 5, are all of our staff are at the preschool building. And so it really gives them an opportunity to collaborate together. But we have speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, social worker, school psychologist, an early on teacher, and a special education early childhood coordinator, all of who work very closely with the general education preschool team on a regular basis, to make sure that our students are getting what they need, whether they have an IEP or whether they're a general education preschool student. So our services that we have there, we have students who receive itinerant services such as itinerant services such as speech and language, where the parent might bring the child to the preschool and they're serviced by a speech and language pathologist. We also have 1755 programs, which is students who are in the general education preschool classroom, and one of our service providers that you see listed up above might be pushing in to deliver services. We have a teacher consultant and early childhood teacher consultant who spends a lot of time in those general education classrooms. And then we also have, as Erin mentioned earlier, our early childhood program, which is a special education program. That's that 4 days a week program. And then the 5th day is really dedicated for the teachers to prep for the following week, but also they do home visits, they do community outings. And that program is really intended for students who have more complex developmental needs and who require a little bit more intensive specialized instruction in a more supportive, structured environment. All of these services, it's important to note, are really determined by the special education team and the evaluation that takes place. The parent is a part of the process, and there's great collaboration with the family and the team to make sure that we're meeting that child's specific needs.
And one point of pride is also for our teams, the general education and special education, is that they have really worked hard together to make sure that even our students who are in our ECP program still have opportunities to be in the general education preschool classrooms with their typically developing peers for as much time as they can be, making sure that it's meaningful and that there is some great engagement and learning going on. So that's definitely a point of pride for the special education team, but also for, I know, the entire preschool building. And just that last little note below is that if you have concerns about your child, don't hesitate to reach out and ask some questions and ask about the process. You can contact the special education department, which that phone number is down below.
Thank you to that team. I'm always humbled and feel like I learn just a little bit more every time that we go through this. I'm always just wowed by your expertise and all the brain power that we have on our team. So very grateful to have you here representing your respective roles. The other really important role that we have in preschool is that of our partnership with families. So as a parent, you're a really big part of your child's preschool experience. And so we work really, really hard to make sure that you are kind of invested and an active participant in your child's preschool experience. So it looks a little bit different now in terms of involvement in the classroom, but our teachers have been really creative with different ways to make sure that parents still feel connected. So you can expect to be connected with your child's teacher via Seesaw, which is an instructional app where you can have communication back and forth and see photos and videos of the classroom and just get daily updates from your child's teacher, as well as any important information. We do 2 parent-teacher conferences per year. And some of our programs also will have home visits as well, but just daily communication with that teacher at arrival and departure, and having the opportunity and access to communicate with your child's teacher just as much as possible. It's a really important part of their preschool experience to know your perspective. You know them best, and you are really their first advocate. So knowing that you have a really important part in their role in their growth in preschool, and you helping to set goals with us in regards to their preschool growth is really, really important.
The Troy School District Preschool represents our investment in the learning of pre-kindergarten students, one of the pillars of our world-class experience. We invited 4 preschool parents to share their experience at the Troy School District Preschool, starting with a conversation on our new facility, which opened in 2019.
The facilities are amazing. The open play area, the gross motor area, they can be inside if the weather's not nice, but I know my daughter has loved playing on the playground too with her friends, and they play pretend things out there, and they just have a wonderful time. And even just gathering with other kids from other classrooms, I think they've just really kind of made some really good friendships.
The fact that this place is designed with children in mind, and just a place where she feels at home, like this is her job.
Yeah. Everything is just so tailored to their curiosity and allowing them to have the freedom to choose. And I think that's a huge thing, and like empowering them to play with what they want to play with, and then because they have to love learning. And I think the environment here fosters that.
One facility that I have not seen in many schools, but the one facility I really love is this cute window over there where they snuggle up during winter days and they read a book. So I see the pictures when the teachers send. So my daughter is too busy to do that, but I have seen other children doing it. Really nice. Yeah, but I like the way. So they have a playground that's super safe for kids to run around and share their energy. And they have a quiet place for kids to actually snuggle up and read a good book. So it kind of facilitates both the super active and the super cozy.
Every child is a unique individual learner. Parents are updated and included in their students' learning experience with clear communication from preschool staff.
Our teacher one day sent me a message, Anna's going to be hungry after school. They had chicken drumsticks, and she said there was a bone in it. And anyway, she didn't eat a thing. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, wow, this teacher's really a she's really invested as much as I am in my child's wellness.
Yeah, honestly, I think the communication has been so impressive. During this pandemic that parents are not in the building daily, I mean, just to be able to like foster that partnership with the teacher and staff, with teachers and staff, just to be able to know what's going on, like really be on the same page about what things to look for, like what things could be issues with my kids. The email communication that we've gotten through this pandemic has been really helpful and informational, and just kind of hits the right tone of we're taking this very seriously. And even though like teachers have to do the right thing to keep everybody safe in the school, I really think I felt the empathy and understanding from the staff here that this is also really hard for families, and having that uncertainty of childcare, just kind of feeling the level of we're in this together. I really think that that really made it feel like we're in this community and we'll get through this one way or another.
Student growth comes in many different ways and at many different speeds. Our staff helps students grow by getting to know them as individuals and encouraging them to pursue their interests in order to foster a lifelong love of learning.
Anna had such tremendous growth, social-emotional growth here. The teachers were able to adjust what they were doing on short notice. They were willing to meet Anna outside in a neutral environment where her anxiety wouldn't be elevated, and she spoke to them. So she went from not talking at all in the classroom to probably talking too much. Really, all it took was maybe a little innovation and collaboration with the teacher and the parent and everything, and they did that here.
It's really cool to see their experience and how they develop socially and emotionally and just gain maturity through being in this environment. And seeing her in kindergarten now, it's amazing. She's a leader, she helps the teacher out all the time, and it's just making her like academically take off, because I can tell like socially, emotionally, she's so comfortable, and she feels like she belongs there, and it's so wonderful to see.
We saw tremendous growth with just her ability to socially interact through language, which was very, very awesome. To just to watch it, you know, the progression was like, wow, look at her go, you know, and then the sass came out, you know, and then, you know, to your point, right, like, yeah, right, the confidence, and which is all great, but it's like, wow, that was, right, but, you know, it's awesome that, you know, they now have that, you know, when maybe once they didn't have that.
The kids learned how to adjust with other kids, and to, you know, to help the other kids share few things. And also I like the way they kind of don't teach them what to do when there is a clash between two children. They let them think of a solution of how to, you know, resolve by themselves. I like that approach, because even at home you cannot be with children all the time. So it's their decision. End of the time, they should know what is right and what is wrong, when to let go. So I'm happy that the school has given that maturity in the thought process of when to let go.
Our preschool aligns with the K-12 Troy School District curriculum, ensuring a smooth transition to kindergarten and beyond.
I really think just having that base of being excited about school and having it be a fun experience to listen to stories and to read books with the teacher, and I think just the focus on reading and books here is really amazing.
The preschool is very much so in line with what they want them to know when they get to kindergarten. So the fact that they have really found a way to merge the two, so you know, kids who really like art, maybe kids who have this imaginative mind, and kids who are just learning how to put it all on paper, it's all kind of gelled together.
I think what you said about the children when they're learning with art, and they're learning when they're playing in the kitchen. And I don't actually know how they taught Anna to read, but at the end of the pre-K year, she started to read. And it's always fun to watch children learn, like have it all click. But I guess like that deep learning where you're doing other activities that incorporate the end goal, it's a little different than our previous experience with pre-K, where we're getting worksheets. But it's not instilling that love of reading and writing that Anna has that my other two don't have.
That's what it is. It's love.
Oh, they love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is a love for books.
I read with my daughter at night, and I don't do it intensely or super often, but somehow that's just enough to kind of keep it going. And what she's learning at school is just the supplement to her development. And it's just amazing to see that take off. Like see it click and all come together. Yeah.
We've done, I'm sure you've seen, we've done a lot of different videos in our, history here of Troy School District and in early childhood. But I was telling our communications team that might be the one that is my most favorite, because it feels like such a result of the investment of our district and our partnership with families, and just to hear kind of those real true stories of our kiddos and how meaningful the experience has been for them just means everything. And that's why all of us on the screen and everyone behind the scenes is doing what we're doing every day. And that partnership with families is so important. On our website, there's a lot of parent testimonials. I won't read these to you, but just know that we have, kind of feedback from families and their experiences from all different programs on our website. And it's something that we'll just continue to kind of gather feedback from our families. And it's a great representation of our programming, but it's also great to have feedback because there's always room to grow. And it's always really important to us that we meet our families where they are and meet their needs to make preschool accessible and successful. I have some frequently asked questions that I wanted to address, and I know that there were a few flying in. So in terms of ages to enroll in the tuition preschool program, we serve ages 3 to 5, and it's a balanced classroom, as Mrs. Grandy stated. So if your child turns 3 after the start date, which is typically that week before Labor Day, we start the same time as Troy School District. So if your child turned 3, let's say in October, your child could start on their 3rd birthday, and then your tuition would be prorated to that date. So we're licensed by License and Regulatory Affairs. And so our license is for children ages 3 to 5. We do not serve infants and toddlers. And but as long as a child is age 3 by December 1st, they can enroll for that school year. We would just have them start on their 3rd birthday or anytime after that. And any days that you miss would be prorated for your tuition. Can I enroll if I live outside the Troy School District? For the tuition program, yes. For GSRP, pre-K, and ECP, it's a Troy School District. Those are Troy School District programs, but for tuition preschool, which is what you would enroll through LEO, we do have some families that enroll from outside of the district, maybe because you work in Troy, maybe because you've heard wonderful things about Troy, maybe because you intend to apply for school of choice for Troy for kindergarten. But just note that if you are out of district, then it would not necessarily guarantee that you would have access to enroll for kindergarten in Troy School District. You would have to apply for school of choice. The health and safety protocols, we follow Oakland County Health Department requirements for the school district. So we kind of adjust and pivot as needed based on their recommendations. And in terms of what are our mitigation things that we're doing currently, our students wear masks. Frequent hand washing and sanitation, and distancing when possible. We do a lot of mask breaks outside. We're really intentional with our scheduling, but you'd be really amazed at how capable our preschoolers are with maintaining wearing those masks during the day. They've done a great job with it, and we haven't missed a beat with it. Before and after school childcare, yes, open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. And again, that enrollment is available for anyone that's enrolled for the 22-23 school year. That link to enroll in before and after school childcare would be sent out to those enrolled families, probably in late spring or early summer, to make sure that you have your spot. So that is available for before and after school childcare. The rates are $7 for the morning and $10.50 for the afternoon. You can select the days and the schedule that you want. You don't have to commit to all those days. Transportation and lunch. Transportation is available for our early childhood special education programs, but all other programs do not offer transportation at this time. And hot lunch is available for our full day programs. So right now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, is that what it's called? Yes, a USDA has provided free lunch for all children up to age 18 for the remainder of the school year, which has been fabulous. And so all children have access to free meals. If that continues, then that will continue to be an option. If not, then we offer the Troy School District lunch calendar. We have the same vendor and offer a couple of options, always a vegetarian option, and you have a menu ahead of time. So you can purchase hot lunch, a little over $2, I think, for a lunch a day, or you can send your lunch from home. Toilet training is it a requirement? Yes. So we're not considered a daycare, and we do not have changing facilities. So your child would need to be in underpants and independent with toileting. Certainly we understand that accidents will happen, especially when children are in a new environment or they get really busy playing and they don't want to stop. So just send extra clothes, and we don't bat an eye at accidents, but your child should be demonstrating independence with toileting, and they would not be able to come to school in diaper or pull up. And then what is the enrollment process? Is that what it says? Carrie, on the bottom there. For tuition preschool programs, the enrollment opens on Tuesday, the 18th at 8 o'clock in the morning. So all of our enrollment for tuition programs is done online. You would go to the preschool website, and there's going to be, kind of a big pop-up that tells you enroll here, and you'll click on that. It'll take you to the LEO website. That's really our warehouse and our platform for all of our invoicing and everything for tuition preschool. So it'll take you to the LEO website. You would choose your program option, whether you wanted half day mornings or full day, make that election, and then complete your profile for your student and pay the registration fee. And then from there, our office would be in touch with you regarding any other documentation and things that you would need to complete the enrollment process. The other frequently asked question that I thought of that I hadn't noted that was something that's really important to us is just really in connection to Troy School District is that, the way that we create our classrooms as being balanced is absolutely by balancing by ages and things like that. But we also really try to cohort our students by their feeder elementary school. So if you are a Troy School District resident and you're going to, let's say, Bemis as your elementary school, we work really hard to try to couple your student with other peers that are also kind of on that path to go to Bemis. So that way they become friends or at least familiar with students and have familiar faces for that transition to kindergarten. And it also helps you to kind of get familiar with other families as you transition in that process. So we do that for our tuition programs as well as for our GSRP and pre-K all of our preschool programs, because although we can't guarantee it that we'd always be in the same classroom, we know that that's a really important part of it. And why you might choose Troy is so that you would have kind of that continuum and create those early friendships that would last for your students. So I wanted to make note of that. And I think that's the end of our show. So again, our enrollment opens on January 18th at 8 o'clock in the morning. The contact information is there, and Jody and Lindsay are our amazing front office team, and I'm sure they will be working around the clock on those first few days because enrollment really on those first few days is busy. And I know that you'll have questions, and they are always here to help. I just ask for your patience and grace with them because that will be a busy time for them, but they are the most wonderful front office team, and you will come to love them just as much as we do too. So Carrie, I didn't know if there were any other things that you needed our team to address that were pressing. Oh, you're muted, Carrie.
Sorry, I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat. So I can ask some of the questions that we've got some of our parents and our participants asking, and hopefully there's some folks here who can answer. Here's a question from a parent. If you start the year as a half-day student, can you change to a full day if you feel like your child is ready for more?
That's a great question. So and the answer is yes, as long as there's availability. So, sometimes our programs fill. So right now our half day mornings and our full days are full. So that wouldn't be an option necessarily at this time of the year, and we wouldn't be able to save that spot. But if there was an opening in a full day classroom, absolutely. And we would certainly prioritize our kiddos who are currently here. What we have found though, sometimes is that a child becomes so familiar in their current environment that transition, that the parent would prefer to just kind of stay where they are and where they're happy. But I think that the reason that we have that our 5 full day offering is full is because that's a need of our community, and because it's a great preparation for our kiddos to kind of get used to that schedule and that cadence of a full day and build up that academic stamina. And also just that, kind of like, this is my job. I go to school all day. So absolutely, as long as there's availability, we can make modifications to the schedule.
And within these questions, I'm going to combine some of them because they're very similar. I know some have already been answered within the presentation, so I won't ask those necessarily again, but here's a good question. Does the preschool follow the Troy School District calendar? And I'm going to combine that. When does the session begin for the tuition preschool then?
Sure. So we follow almost exactly the elementary schedule for Troy School District. Typically, our school year begins the week before Labor Day. And so whenever that falls this year on the calendar, we're always kind of, anticipating that will be our start date. And then we have the same regular breaks as the rest of the district. Sometimes our conference schedule might vary just a bit. If you're in let's say, a program that does home visits or something, you may have an extra day here or there because you're going to be having a visit from the teacher at your home. But traditionally, we start that last week of August and we go through the second or third week of June, just like a K-12 Troy School District system.
And maybe this is one, this question is one for Pat as a preschool teacher. A parent asking about communication with parents of your students. I know we talked about that, some of our folks in the video talked about this, but what kind of communication exists? They want to know, do parents receive kind of end of the day reports from teachers of what was done during the day, or how do they find out what's happening with their child?
I communicate with my parents daily, as do pretty much every other teacher here in the preschool. So my daily communication may look like I send either pictures of what we did for small group instruction with our students. That is sent out every day with a very brief explanation of what our small group activity was and what the purpose of it was. We send out weekly pictures of the children during work time. So there's multiple, I would say probably 15 pictures at least a week of the children engaged in work time with their peers. I do videos throughout. I might not do it every single week, but like if we're going on a nature hunt outside, I do a video for the parents. They love seeing what's happening with their students. And then the other communication is parents communicate with me. For example, a parent said, I want you to know we're gonna be out of town for 2 days. I'm like, oh, thank you for letting me know. So the communication is, I communicate a lot, as do the other staff members, through Seesaw and of course if emails, but parents receive amazing pictures and documentation of what's happening in the classroom.
And I can tell you, just as a complete outsider's standpoint, my kids are slightly older than preschool at this point, but the Troy School District Preschool, the TSD preschool, is my absolute favorite place to be, in part because I get to enjoy a little slice of what Pat is talking about. I can go into her classroom, a little less so now with COVID, but go into her classroom and see what's happening with these students and come along on the nature walk. But the teachers do such a fabulous job of bringing parents along through communication and through those pictures and through the stories that students are telling, that it really does kind of make you feel like a part of it in a really wonderful way. We have another question here, Erin, and I think this is one, it's specific to a student, but I think it's one other parents may have. So if parents are debating and have a student who would be kindergarten eligible, is 4 years old or would be 4 years old or just before 5, and they are not sure that their child is ready for kindergarten, but not sure whether to enroll in the preschool program or do the pre-K program, sign up for that. There are 2 different enrollment periods, but does one fill up? Should they enroll in preschool now? What can you tell parents about those 2 different programs and what they should do if they have questions about that?
Are you asking between if they're pre-K, if they're considering the pre-K program or kindergarten? Is that what you're wondering?
No, the pre-K program through the district. So if they're going to enroll in the pre-K program through the school district or just do straight tuition-based preschool, you talk about how those 2 enrollment periods are, enrollment processes are a little bit different.
Sure. So I would say there really is not a difference in terms of programming between tuition-based preschool and our pre-K program, which is that free program for children that may be age 5 by December 1st of the current school year. So we use the exact same curriculum and assessment model. We have the same teacher candidates and credentials. It really is just where the funding comes from. And we're really fortunate to be able to kind of, leverage some of those state funds to provide provide that access to free preschool for that year for students. So, from like a parent standpoint, I guess I take the free, right? But, there's always, there isn't really necessarily a difference in that. It is important to note that it is, since it's funded by the state, it's coded as a planned retention for families. So, it's basically like a second year of kindergarten. We don't treat it as a second year of kindergarten. We treat it as a year of preschool because retention is not something that that we believe in or that we follow in Troy School District. But it's important to note that for families. So that is something that that they would notice on their child's transcript, but it's not something significant that would impact them later on in life necessarily. So it's really just up to the parent and what they feel is the best investment for their child. But really, there isn't, from a program standpoint, it's not different. Our pre-K program does, if you're a Troy School District resident, does enroll when kindergarten enrolls. And so I anticipate that if elementary schools have not yet, they'd be reaching out soon. And that enrollment process begins in February. That pre-K program eventually does fill. So this year we were fortunate to have 80 students served in 4 classrooms. And if the need were greater, we would serve more. But eventually it does have kind of a cap on it because we need to be able to make sure that we can provide a high quality teacher for that classroom too. And so just like all of our other programs, eventually they do fill up. But it's important to note too with pre-K, if that's what you're considering, your enrollment is not complete until you complete that full Power School enrollment. So, once you create kind of like your initial process through Power School and that enrollment, make sure to follow up and finish it. And our office or central office enrollment will happily walk families through that process. But that spot really isn't secured until their enrollment is complete.
I can tell we've got lots of parents excited about our programs. We have another question about the differentiation, not necessarily between is one better for my child than another, but ages and availability, or I guess I would say, can you do 2 in the same year? So we've got a parent who's asking, can you enroll in First Friends and preschool in the same year? So if you have a child who doesn't turn 3 until November, could they enroll in the First Friends program as a nice transition for those first few months of the school year, and then enroll in the tuition-based preschool after that?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I mean, and what a great introduction for that child to have access to the building, kind of partnered with their parent and have a really positive experience with the family member in the building. And then, when they're age eligible for preschool, then they would have that transition into the 3-year-old program. So absolutely. And that's really why we have that wide range and menu of options, is we want to be able to meet the needs of the child. And we know that every child's a little bit different. So I would definitely say that's an opportunity and something our families have done before.
This one, I think Pat could probably answer, and maybe Sarah, you'd like to weigh in on this too. We've got a parent asking, do students interact with kids outside their classroom, or do they just stick with the students that are in their particular class? And Sarah, then maybe after Pat is done, from the perspective of special education students who are enrolled in some of our programs, do they interact just with those students, or do they have an opportunity to interact with other students within the building? So Pat, do you want to take that first?
So yes, we interact with other students in the building. However, primarily my focus is on my 20 students with my teaching partner, but we do share out the playground time with 2 other classes. So it's really nice to see other students. And it's really fun for the children to make new friends out on the playground. We also share our gym time with other students. We have a set gym time. Mine is on Monday and Wednesdays. So we see our friends on Monday and Wednesday in the gym. And then with regards to inclusion, and Sarah, I'll let you speak to this, but my classroom is an inclusion partner. I have a partner and I have 2 wonderful children who visit our classroom on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it's really, it's a great program because they get to come into my classroom, and not only do they get to come in the classroom and do what we're doing, but it's really nice. It's another way. The children are so excited when my inclusion students come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, for whether it's literacy time in the morning or maybe afternoon literacy. So.
Thanks, Pat. And then in addition, when Ms. Pat is talking about inclusion partners, we're speaking to those ECP classrooms that we have at the preschool. The students who have a little bit more complex needs, who need a more structured and supportive environment, a half day, it's only 4 days a week. What we've been able to do is provide a lot of professional development time and collaboration time for both our special education teachers and our general education preschool teachers. And what we've done is pair each special education teacher up with a few different general education teachers and provide the students in those ECP classrooms with intentional planned time in the general education environment where they're able to go in and spend time with their peers. So that's another way that we're having kids spend time with multiple other groups.
Fantastic. We have a lot of questions, Erin, about enrollment. People are wanting to know what sort of documentation is needed when it's time to enroll. Do they need to have their vaccination records? Are they going to need to scan anything and attach it? Can you talk a little bit? I know you went through the enrollment process, but talk a little bit about what parents can do maybe now to prepare for that January 18th date.
Sure. So on January 18th, the only thing that they'll need, just to kind of secure their spot in terms of, if they really want, to have a full day slot, the only thing that they'll need to do is elect to do that, create their LEO account and pay the registration fee. But long-term, what we need in terms of documentation is kind of anything that you would really use for any sort of enrollment within the school district. So that verification of residency, so a driver's license, the student's birth certificate, and then if you're enrolling in pre-K, GSRP, or early childhood programs, then kind of those other verification of residency, maybe 2 utility bills or something like that. Health appraisal and immunization records are also required, and so we do ask that our families, provide those to us. That's not something that these documents aren't something that we have to have on the 18th, and it's something that at your leisure you can upload into the system. The luxury of having things online is that you can really do things at your convenience, but we know that there's just a wide range. We've all become a little more tech savvy in the last couple of years, but sometimes LEO or Power School might trip people up. And so you just give our office a call, and honestly, parents have sometimes brought documents to us and we will scan them in for them, or they can take a picture of things and send it to us, or email it to us and we'll upload it into the system. So there's always a human behind every single process. And we do not want that, that enrollment worry to be the barrier. Because I have 3 boys and I still cringe when I realize I've got to find his birth certificate somewhere in the house. So we'll walk you through it and we'll be really patient with you. The other important note is that if you are applying for Great Start Readiness preschool program, that is families qualify for that based on low to moderate income. So this year it's families that fall, anyone kind of below that 300% federal poverty level may qualify for that program. So just to give you like a range, if you're a family of 4, if your family's income is $65,000 or below, you may qualify for that free preschool program for a 4-year-old. So we would require some sort of evidence or documentation of your income for that program to qualify for that program as well. So we usually ask for the previous year's income tax returns, if not W-2s or multiple pay stubs. If your income has changed, I used to receive unemployment and now I don't, then we just need some documentation and evidence of that. So again, we don't want documentation to be the barrier of it, but that's just another requirement for a different program that we would ask families to provide for us. But it's important to note too, for GSRP enrollment, that is a sit down face-to-face enrollment process because it is a little bit more involved, and we can certainly support. In addition, if families ever needed resources in terms of translation or help with accessing things, we have a lot of resources in the district to support that.
I'm going to combine another couple of questions. I can see we've got some folks who are worried that they're not going to get a spot. So they would like to know, is it first come, first serve for enrollment? How long is it enrollment open before you determine who is accepted? Do you suggest that parents sign up or enroll in both a half-day program and a full-day program so that they hopefully get one or the other? Because if they don't get one, they're happy to participate in the other. You talked to me a little bit about space availability and the need, if there's a need for parents to enroll quickly in the process.
Sure. So there's layers to that question. We have 24 classrooms in our building, right? And so we have to prioritize, and they're full this year. And this year we had, this amount of GSRP classrooms. We had, 5 pre-K classrooms. We have 10 tuition preschool classrooms. So each year we will provide the number of classroom spaces that our community needs. We don't have a set number of anything because we don't know what our community is going to need. And so we really want to be responsive to the needs for that year. This year we have 7 full-day preschool classrooms and 3 half-day classrooms, so an AM and a PM in 3 different rooms. So 10 classroom spaces are being used, and now we have a wait list because we don't have another classroom to place that, that next class. But that did not fill up until probably the summertime. So it really just depends. And I can't say that that's how it would be this year. But again, we were in a different climate last year at this time. I think people didn't know what was going to happen a month from then. And, we're feeling a little bit different now. So I would let parents know, it's great to save a spot. We would eventually, if you are able to enroll in LEO, you have the spot. So you wouldn't need to enroll in a half day and a full day unless you weren't sure which one you wanted. We really discourage that because you're saving a spot that somebody else eventually might want, but we can't prevent you from doing that. Eventually we'll ask you to make a choice because then we would kind of put someone from the wait list in there. The only program that fills up right away is really our half day mornings. And I think part of that is because if you have a child and that your schedule allows for a half day, sometimes those mornings are a little bit more desirable if you have a napper or a kiddo that's maybe going to be doing something in the afternoon. So that's the program that I would say, if you're sure that you want that, you would probably want to elect that space right away. But if you're considering other options and you're not sure and you want to find out a little bit more information, then we don't want families to feel pressured, or this isn't like at 8 o'clock in the morning that I've got to have everything ready necessarily. But if you're sure, then that's a great time to be able to just make the choice, and then your decision is made and you start receiving a lot of the information and communication. Once you're enrolled, then you kind of are getting access to a lot of those things. I can enroll for Explorers. I can get the updates about the Troy School District updates. If we're opening up the building for tours, we're going to have a schedule for that. So you just have access to a little bit more if you've completed the process.
Absolutely. I'm going to combine another couple of questions, but they're really good questions. And I thought maybe Erin, you could start with this, but then maybe either Natalie or Chris could join in a bit, because we've got a parent who's asking, what's the average teacher experience level for teachers teaching preschool students, and what are their different backgrounds like? But then also either Chris or Natalie, maybe you could weigh in. I mean, one of the things I'm very proud of in the Troy School District is the fact that we have such great professional development for our preschool teachers, and we don't isolate our preschool teachers from that learning that our kindergarten and other lower L teachers are getting. So maybe Erin, if you could talk about kind of the background, or Chris, whoever wants to talk about the background of our preschool teachers, and then maybe the other two could weigh in with what kinds of opportunities do we have for our preschool teachers so that they're constantly staying up to date on the best practices and what's going on, and how to be the best instructional leaders for our kiddos.
Sure. So in terms of teacher credentials, so each of our lead teachers has a minimum of a bachelor's in early childhood. Many of them are certified teachers and could teach at any of our elementary schools, and they elect to choose preschool because it's their passion and because it's their expertise. And really beyond that, many of our lead teachers have master's degrees and have really extensive higher ed degrees. And it's something that the district compensates for and really is invested in supporting that, kind of that we're all lifelong learners. So I can't say enough about the credentials of our teachers in terms of years of experience. We have some teachers who would just be so embarrassed if I maybe noted how many they've been teaching with us. But then we also have teachers who it's their first year teaching this year. We expanded quite a bit this year, and we did hire some new teachers. And so we're really fortunate to have students who, teachers who are at the cutting edge of kind of that university instruction that just came out of college and kind of have that background of the newest, kind of college level instruction, that are coming in and kind of sharing that and kind of that bright-eyed new experience, and partner that really with, the expertise of a veteran teacher that has had the experience. And I'll let Natalie and Chris address, district level things, but I think really one of the most fantastic assets that our teachers have is the mentoring program that Troy School District offers. So having a new teacher partnered with a mentor teacher who's been doing it that can say, whether it's Troy School District specific, HighScope specific, how to deal with, a tricky situation that they're having, and they're putting in an absence or something like that, or whether, they want support with setting up their Seesaw account or how to support a child in a certain situation. So the mentoring program, each of our new teachers is partnered with a mentor. Pat is a mentor this year to several of our new teachers. They have a 3-year process, and sometimes they rotate to different teachers. So that's really a fantastic asset too, and just kind of speaks to the collaborative nature of our district. But Natalie and Chris, feel free to chime in.
Sure. Thanks, Erin. I think Miss Pat is my mentor sometimes. So, and when I think about, when I mentioned previously, we have been, the highlight of our work is our staff. I mean, we had worked together for quite some time to think about, what's world-class programming look like. And again, developing our staff and partnering our staff with both veteran and new. We're serving over 400 students in our new building. And we went from, as Ms. Patwell knows, serving different various programs. We had maybe around 200 max in our previous programming. And now that we're able to be in a facility, one of the beautiful things and one of my favorite things about our facility is the fact that we work so hard to develop professionally. Our staff and our teachers teach teachers. They learn from one another. We have at the heart of our building a reading recovery site. And we have a partnership that we continue to foster for over 30 years now with Oakland University. And so our teachers work really hard. Again, that idea of language and literacy being at the heart, that's kind of symbolic in our, Erin has that background in reading recovery, and it's just really, Murray Clay's work has expanded throughout. So when we read about being world-class system, that's something that came up over and over and over. And so Natalie and her team continue to foster that expertise throughout our system. So buildings, be able to start with our earliest learners.
Natalie, did you want to add anything to that?
Chris beat me with her unmute. I would just add that our kindergarten or our preschool teachers, whenever we have a professional learning day, they always are involved in that learning. We also are lucky in Troy. We have literacy specialists and math specialists, which are former classroom teachers who have been trained in things like intervention and just additional training and best practice. And so our preschool teachers also have the opportunity to work with them, to learn about what's current in terms of best practice in those areas as well.
Fantastic. We've got a couple of questions that are specific to the day, meaning, can you give us a short overview of what the day might look like for my child? Do students take naps after lunch? Does every child get to go outside every day? Can somebody speak to that? To what I realize that every day is probably a little bit different, but what is a typical day like for a preschool student?
Can I do this one? Okay, so the children arrive for my students, they arrive at 8:30 and they come into the building after we have logged them into the attendance, and they hang up their coats, shoes, whatever. And they come into the classroom, they wash their hands, and then we meet on the rug for a morning message. This is a time where on our smart board, I put together a very brief PowerPoint presentation for them, lets them know what are their lunch choices. So they order their lunch. I let them, they get to see what is our small group activity for today. So they're going to know what we're going to be doing in small group. It will also have on it, what day of the week is it? It's a time, it's an informational time for the children. And it might also let them know if there's going to be maybe a fire drill that day that we're going to practice. So it's a time for them to kind of know what their day is going to look like. After our morning message, we have a morning literacy time. This will be one of the books a series of books that are authors that we've been reading. So we have that morning literacy time together. And then in my group, in my classroom, we go into our small group instruction. That's where we have lesson planned for them for a small group time to share together. After small group time, that is when we do that plan, do review that I talked to you about. So the children will tell the teacher what their plan is for the day. I would like to go over to the block area and build today. So they do their plan, they go and they do it. That work time is about 45 minutes to an hour. And when we have cleanup, we gather back together and we review what the children's plans were. And in my classroom, that's after our morning work time, we go outside for outside recess, or we go to the gym, depending on our schedule. When we come back in, we get our hands washed and we get ready for lunch. After lunch, we have another opportunity for, it might be a shared reading, it might be just looking at books, or it might be a designated story. And then we get ready for a daily rest time. The children do not have to sleep. It's just an opportunity for the children to have a time to rest their bodies. And we are mandated by the state to offer this rest time for our students. And after rest time, we get up, and it's quite amazing. We're at the point now in our day where the children are helping me with cots and putting all their gear away. And then we have an afternoon snack time that the children, they bring their own snacks to school. And then from there, we have large group time where we gather together and do music and movement. And then we head outside for an afternoon recess. And then the day in my classroom concludes again with a afternoon literacy time. So every one of our classrooms has that schedule. It might just look a little bit different depending on your recess time or your lunchtime. So.
Thank you so much, Pat. Sarah, question for you. We've got a few questions that are specific to a particular student, but as an overview, if parents are have questions about which special education program might be best for their child, what do you suggest? So we've got a question, for instance, that there's a child with a speech delay. Which program is better, ECP for that child? The child will be 5 in November, or the free pre-K? How does a parent make those decisions, and what can you do to kind of help them?
Well, I guess the first thing I would do would suggest that they reach out to the special education department and request an evaluation if they haven't yet had one through the district. If they are enrolled if they're a Troy School District resident and planning on enrolling in the district, our team would do the evaluation. So they could reach out to the special ed department, which would that phone number, I think I saw someone was asking for the phone number, but it is 248-823-5096. So they could call that number, let them know what concerns that they have, and one of our secretaries would put them in touch with the right person. They would go through the evaluation process with the team based on their concerns, and the team who does the evaluation would make a recommendation to the parent. If they are eligible for special education services, they would make a recommendation as to what would best, what their child needs based on that evaluation, the evaluation results. So it really depends. It's like it is a team process, and they would work with the parent to make sure that they have a clear understanding of that.
Excellent, thank you. And I really do. Our special education department is fantastic. If you do have questions about that, they're happy to answer questions or set you up for an evaluation or whatever you need to answer the questions that you might have for your student and get your student started with the best start. We've got some other questions about summer, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but do we offer summer programs, and when might those start, and could a student start those if they're between 3 and 5, could they start those before the preschool school year has begun? If that makes sense.
Yes, we do offer, it's typically an 8-week summer camp. And we call it camp just because that's maybe a fun word, but it's basically, like a summer preschool program. It's a little bit more fun, a little looser. And we just do, we maybe do a little bit more themey stuff or some more activities together with the other classes that are there. But we typically open that enrollment in May for families. And we have the same typical options of you can do 5 full days or you can do half days in the summertime. The difference is that families can elect which weeks they want to come. So if you're going to be, gone for all of July, but I'd love for my kid to have a couple of weeks in June and then a couple of weeks in August just to stay kind of sharp, then you can just select those weeks. So we offer a little bit more flexibility with our scheduling. Our current preschool teachers teach our summer program as well. A lot of our current teachers work year round and elect to choose the summer program as well. So they kind of continue their school year, but again, it's a new group of children. And so it looks a little bit different every year and they meet the needs of the children right where they are. So some of our parents that are transitioning to kindergarten might choose to do the summer program because they want their children to kind of continue that school schedule over the summer. Some of our families that are coming into preschool for the first time in fall might choose a few weeks in the summer because it might be a great transition piece for their child to have a couple of weeks coming to the preschool building over the summer, just to kind of get familiar with it and have an opportunity over the summertime as well. Mrs. Scrandy was one of our summer teachers this year, and we hope that she will continue to be because it's a well-oiled machine when she does it. But anything else to add, Mrs. Scrandy, in terms of summer?
The students that we had this summer, it was their first, not all of them, but many of them, it was their first experience at the preschool here. And it was really nice when they arrived at school in the fall. They had already had their feet wet, to say the term. And it was just so nice. They weren't afraid or they weren't worried because this was a familiar place for them. So that summer experience was so good for the students. And it was nice. It was nice to get to know some of the students beforehand, before starting our classes. So yeah, it's a great program. It's lots of fun. And I don't know, it's just a great opportunity for students who haven't experienced preschool yet. So.
And now this may have been covered, Erin, when we were doing the presentation, but I've got a parent asking about the teacher-student ratio for the programs, and specifically they're asking for the pre-K class, but what is the teacher-student ratio for our program?
Sure. So for pre-K, it's the max is 20 students and we have 2 teachers. So a lead teacher with the teaching credentials and then a teaching assistant. And typically those teaching teams have been together for quite a long time. And you will come to know that the lead teacher and the assistant teacher are both teachers in the classroom. They share a lot of the responsibility and leadership and instruction, and the children come to know each of them as the teachers in that classroom. It's never a circumstance where one person is cleaning tables or something. They are both really the instructional leaders of the classroom. So in our tuition preschool classroom and our pre-K classroom, it's up to 20 children in the classroom and 2 teachers. GSRP is 16 students and 2 teachers. And then our early childhood special education programs is 12 students with 3 adults in the classroom. That would be a lead teacher and then 2 paraprofessionals. Excellent.
We've talked a lot about full day. I've got some questions or a question or two about the half day programs. What are the general hours? I mean, I've got a lot of questions about hours anyway, and for the full day or the half day program. But how long are the half day students there? Are they, and it's a morning session and an afternoon session, correct?
Yeah. So our tuition program next year, we anticipate that our tuition programs are going to switch to that 8 to 3 window. Our feedback from our families this year has been that the compromise, we serve primarily Troy School District families, and the compromise when you have a sibling at an elementary school is really that drop off and pick up time. And so we're really trying to work to accommodate families and not start our programs at the same time that their programs are starting. And that's pretty hard to do because we also stagger start our programs. Everything doesn't begin at the same time so that we can keep a flow in our building of who's coming in and going. And so that parking lot doesn't get, wild and crazy with 450 children arriving and departing, and keep a flow. So next year we anticipate tuition programs will be in that 8 to 3 window. So if you were a half day student, you would elect for the morning from 8 to 11 or the afternoon from 12 to 3. And so that's 3 hours a day for 5 days a week. And then obviously if you were a full day, you'd be from 8 to 3. We anticipate pre-K will maintain the same schedule and time, which is 8:15 to 3:15, Monday through Friday. And our GSRP program would flip flop and would be the 8:30 to 3:30. They go Monday through Thursday. And then our early childhood programs, our special education programs are 8:45 to 11:45, and then the afternoon session is 12:45 to 3:45. So we really try to strategically schedule our programs so that just there's a flow, and so that families are able to really efficiently drop off and pick up and not deal with a lot of traffic and a lot of congestion. And it makes our scheduling within the building flow a little bit easier too. That way the children always have access to things like the gym and different availability if we stagger their times.
And I just want to remind some parents who have questions, some of these have been answered already or were answered in the program. So I do want to let parents know that both the presentation and the video, this is being recorded right now. This information night is being recorded, and we will post this not only on the website, on the preschool website, we will also host it on the Troy School District YouTube channel and share it on our social media. So if you missed any portion of this, you'll be able to go back and listen, or if you want to show your soon to be preschooler the virtual tour or anything like that, you'll be able to do that. There's also a great number of resources on our Troy Preschool website that you can go right now and see and begin to get excited with your child for the 2022-23 school year. There's some questions about qualifying for GSRP, and I know you gave a range for a family of 4. If folks have questions about whether or not they would qualify, what's the best way for them to get that information? Is there some sort of grid posted somewhere, or do they call? How do they find out?
They absolutely can call. If we give that kind of like that that suggested range, just so families can kind of get an idea. We do prioritize our most at-risk families first. And so, that's really the nature of the grant, is to make sure that we serve as many families as we can with access to free, high quality preschool. And so we certainly want everyone to be able to access that, but we serve our most at-risk families first. And then we just kind of see what we have in terms of applicants. I will say that the income qualification chart changes every year. And so we don't have the 22-23 income chart available yet, but you certainly can call our office just to, inquire a little bit more. And it doesn't hurt to fill out that intake form. There's no penalty, and you're not required to provide any documentation at that time. It gives kind of like a general question about your residency and how many people live in your household and your annual income. But it's just a one-page form, and it kind of saves your spot to be contacted to see if you would qualify. So there's certainly no penalty. And for our families that register for tuition, if they register for tuition and then they qualify for GSRP, we refund that registration fee. You're not penalized for enrolling for one program and then qualifying for another program. So there's no harm in seeing what you might qualify for. And if they have specific questions about it, Linda Stanko is our coordinator. She really supports tremendously with a lot of that enrollment process, but Lindsay and Jody in the front office and myself are happy to answer any of those questions specifically.
Okay, I have to say that I love this question. I like all of these questions, but I think this would be important to me too. We've got parents asking, will there be an opportunity to arrange to see the school in person? Maybe not right now, but is there going to be an opportunity for parents to be able to come at some point in the spring or down the line to see the preschool and the beautiful playground and whatnot for themselves as well?
Sure. So, it feels like Groundhog's Day, but we had this conversation last year at this time where, the building was closed to only essential school visitors. And so out of respect, tremendous respect for the programs that we have running right now, we really do limit visitors and access in our buildings. The health and safety of our school community, nothing is more important than that. And we really work to make sure that our current families and our staff feel really safe and comfortable. But with that being said, we do anticipate that as we move closer to the springtime, that we'll be able to offer those tours in person. What we did last year, because there was such a high volume, was that we sent out families that were interested. We had kind of like a sign up genius. And so we would had a certain number of slots on certain days that parents could sign up for. And then you would show up at our building, and we do, one of us as the resident expert would lead a tour to that group for that day. So I do anticipate that that would be an option for spring. Typically what we do is if you're already enrolled, we would send that out to you. So you know you can sign up for one. If you're not enrolled, then you can certainly call our office and ask for an opportunity to schedule a time to sign up for a tour, but absolutely. And then in terms of, access once it's time for preschool, if you're enrolled in pre-K, there will be a specific pre-K information night in May. So on May 4th at 6 p.m., there'll be specific information night about that program where you'll get to meet some of the teachers and learn about that program. If you're enrolled in early childhood special education, they do a home visit, and they also will do an opportunity to visit the school before the school starts, before the school year starts, so that the child can get familiar with it. Last year, we did a playground play date for our kiddos in pre-K and tuition preschool so that they could come and meet their teacher and play with peers on the playground before school started. GSRP also does home visits before school starts. So there's a lot of points of contact before that first day of school. So it's we know that transition looks different for every child and for every parent. It's a big decision. And sometimes, that first day is harder on parents than it is on kids. And we know that. So we want to make that transition as smooth as possible. And sometimes it just feels more comfortable for a parent if you've been able to see it and to really put your own eyes on it. And it's a nice point of reference too, for you to have a conversation with your child if you've seen it for yourself. So we'll definitely prioritize that. I anticipate that we'll be able to offer tours and a lot of opportunities for access before that first day of school.
Okay, I think we'll take one more question, because I think this will there'll be a lot of parents who have different levels of this question, and then I think we may wrap up. But we'll talk about what parents can do if they have additional questions, next steps, things like that. I have a parent asking there's a couple of different questions I'm combining here, but talking about students who are at different levels, and whether that be age different levels or just students who are coming in at different academic levels or who have different skill bases coming in. How do we differentiate instruction and learning for those students? And if you've got a student that is exceeding expectations coming into preschool, do you challenge them with different learning opportunities as well?
So the beauty of HighScope curriculum that we use, so our lessons in HighScope, it's designed for a beginning student. So a student who may be really younger and might not have ever used a pair of scissors, for example. Then our curriculum also shows instruction, how we would instruct for a student who's in the middle, who might be who kind of knows how to cut and use scissors. But then it will also give us instruction for those students that have exceeded the beginning level, the middle level, and now are at the higher level. So our curriculum is designed to meet and give us steps for each area that these students are in. And then what we do is, if a student has exceeded what our lesson is, we have a daily extension for our lesson so that we can extend the learning and challenge that student who's at the higher level of learning in our small group activity. So daily extensions are added to our lesson plans to challenge and see where we can scaffold that child's learning to. So yeah, I hope that really answers that.
It's so much in tune to the teacher expertise. Again, we can't go back to that enough about that teacher knowing the developmental continuum of students. We like to give the example of, everyone at that small group table is going to have the same materials because that's that sense of community, right? But if I have colored bears in front of me and I'm a less mature learner, I might be sorting those bears by color. And that's my activity for the day. And the child next to me might be making sets of 10 in different ways and then writing it on a dry erase board. And so it's just really just about having some materials that are really open-ended and flexible, and about the teacher expertise of saying, this is what you're ready for. And wow, and now can you sort them by color and size? And then, wow, okay, you made a set of 10 this way. Can you make that in another way? And then look at those two peers looking at each other too, and seeing, that kind of the what they can do next. And it's not always the teacher instructing, it's the peer next to them that's modeling some skills for them. Or, it's the more mature learner that is gaining that empathy, supporting the child next to them. This is blue, put them here, you know, so it's really just that sense of community in the classroom and those open-ended materials. But the teachers are really so thoughtful in their planning and making sure that whatever the materials and whatever level that child is, that we're developing the whole learner and that they're engaged in meaningful learning.
That's fantastic. So I think that is a great note to kind of end the formal presentation on. That really gives us a good sense, I think, as parents, as to what we can expect for our children that are enrolling. Erin, if folks have extra questions, there's some real specific questions about, you know, how does drop off run, how to, you know, those kinds of very specific. What should parents do if they have specific questions? I would personally invite people to visit the Troy School District, Troy Preschool website, which you can link to from Troy School District or from just direct to the Troy Preschool. What are things parents can do if they have some more specific questions? And then what are the next steps? Maybe if we could go over that again.
Sure. So my name is on the screen, and you are always welcome to email me and contact me directly. I'll be completely transparent that calling my office phone is not super productive because I'm rarely in here. So if you want to speak to a human being because you're having a compromise with enrollment process, I would call our preschool office, and that's 248-823-3000. Jody and Lindsay, when they are available, will absolutely walk you through that process, but feel free to email me directly if you have specific student questions. In terms of enrollment next steps, I would probably, you want to make a decision with your family about what it is that you think is the best fit for your child. And if it's a tuition program that you're enrolling in, then next Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, anytime after that you can. It's not the mad rush of 8 o'clock in the morning, but if that's what you're certain that you'd like to do, that's when it's open. And that's when we'll also have someone available to help. That's why we wait, so that we make sure that we have a human on the other end to help you and support you through that process. And then if it's a different program that you're enrolling in, pre-K, again, you would wait until the kindergarten enrollment window opens, and then you would elect for the pre-K option through central enrollment. And GSRP, you could do that one-page intake form through the website. But any of the programs or any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to us. This is it's wild to be thinking about starting a new year of preschool, because we're just so invested in the year that we're having, and hearing, Mrs. Grandy talk about how far her students have come. I want to remind her where we were in September and look at where they are now. So it's hard to think about going back to that, but we're excited to welcome a whole new crew of preschoolers in the fall. And we love what we do, and we have the most wonderful people invested in the learning of our kiddos. So I'm grateful for this team, that they spent their evening tonight almost till 8 o'clock sharing this night with me to share information with our families. And I'm grateful our families spent the time to learn about their preschool opportunities for their children.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody here as well. It has been a really informative night. I have learned things, as someone who's not directly involved in the preschool, but loves to go and visit all the time. I have learned a lot tonight too. I encourage any parents to go to the Troy School District and the Troy Preschool, TSD Preschool website. Mrs. Kaiser talked about emailing her. That email address is on the website, but it's also ekaiser@troy.k12.mi.us. That is a great way to reach her. And then, calling the preschool when someone's available to answer the phone and talk. It's a wonderful team over there, and they'd be happy to answer your questions. But a lot of them you'll probably find the answers to on that TSD Preschool website, because there's a wealth of information and videos and pictures and all kinds of things on the website that you'll definitely want to visit. I want to thank all of our parents who stuck with us as well, our participants who stuck with us till nearly 8 o'clock. This is our time for now. We hope to see everybody enrolling on January 18th or thereafter, and we will see everybody for the upcoming 2022-23 school year. That's amazing to even say. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.